Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is David Straughn, and it is my honor and privilege to be one of your hosts at this evening's celebration, this tribute to Major Patrick Skeete, friend and mentor to several Combermereans. In the studio with me, we have Hess and Alicia, our co-hosts, and Hess of several decades, friendship of several decades, Alicia of a little less vintage. But welcome everyone. This is a celebration and a tribute to one of our greatest friends and one of the greatest Combermereans that we've known. And we're fortunate to be in his time. Before I get any further, it is fitting, as the traditional Combermere way, we're going to have a prayer, invocation prayer, by none other than Captain Reverend Al Walcott. And he's going to bring us in with a word of prayer. Captain Walcott.
Let us bow our hearts and our spirits as we go to God in prayer. Comforting God, God of peace, God of love, God of unity. We join together in this space as Combermereans and friends, colleagues of our deceased brother Patrick, not to mourn his loss, but to celebrate and to give you thanks for his life, his witness, and his service of one whom we all knew, whom we loved, a student, a classmate, a teacher, a friend, a husband, a father, an officer, and a gentleman. We pray this evening, Lord, as we come together for Patrick's family. We pray for Gemma, Alicia, Janelle, grandchildren Joel, Sydney, and Josiah, siblings Jennifer, Patricia, Stevenson, stepchildren Earthon, Keita Sincere. We also pray for his close friends, his schoolmates, cadet officers, former faculty colleagues, students, and members of his church community. And we pray, Lord, that you will be the God of all comfort at this time of loss, as we mourn Patrick's passing. But we know that we do not mourn without hope, but we rejoice and celebrate knowing that he is with you in that promise, eternal state that you promised to your children. We pray now, Lord, that you will lead and guide us by your Spirit as we remember the times we spent with Patrick and how he influenced the lives of so many persons. We pray, Lord, that his legacy will live on in the same spirit and purpose that you gave to him to impact lives that he came across. And we pray this now and forevermore. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very, very much, Reverend Captain Al Walcott and Hess. I don't know if you were experiencing what I have been experiencing over the last several weeks, and that is that the memories of Patrick just keep flooding back over and over. And every time I get a memory, I end up smiling. It has been such a wonderful journey with this incredible human being. And of course, I would have been a few years older than you. Patrick was my close friend since 1967, and arguably my best friend since 1967. And right through the cadet corps, right through Combermere School, indeed sandwiched between my twin brother and I. I don't know how he still managed to do so well academically when we were sandwiching him. And when Reverend Walcott Al was delivering his opening prayer, I remember this handsome, young, very tall lad entering my section, my platoon, as this young cadet called Al Walcott. And I believe at the time, Patrick may have been our CUO in the cadet corps at that time, if you recall. I distinctly remember this shy, handsome fella being very polite, this Al Walcott. And look at where we are today, several decades later. So Hess, I don't know
Days
if
ago,
you've
correct.
been that's right, you've been experiencing what I've been experiencing.
Yes, it's been great to hear all the stories coming out about Patrick and how he impacted other people's lives along with ours. And it was a privilege to know him.
Yeah. Alicia, I don't know if you're still with us, but how long would you say that you've interacted with Patrick yourself? Because
I
he would
entered
have been a.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry, I entered Combermere in 1981, and he was a teacher. I left in 1988, and he was still there. So I would have interacted with him for the 7 years at school, and
Wow.
subsequently, upon returning to school and dealing with different projects with him over the last few years, the development project, when he was working on the foreign language labs. So quite often recently, we've been in touch as well in
Yeah.
a number of projects that he was spearheading.
Excellent, excellent. This
Thank
is so
you.
good. And to that point, though, I think it would be remiss of us if we don't, or remiss of me if I don't congratulate Charlie, yourself, and Hess for this wonderful and extremely well put together tribute. I think that when you mention working with Patrick on projects, people don't seem to understand the kind of work that goes into preparing something like this. And I want to take my hat off to you guys for this initiative, this network, and hope that it could be to the honor and glory of Combermere School. And right now, this evening, it will be to the honor and glory of Patrick's name and Patrick's legacy. So congratulations to you guys for putting this together. I know from my own experience how hard this is to pull together. I have worked with Patrick on several occasions within the recent years, hosting programs, and I know how meticulous and how detailed you've got to be for this. So this is hard work. Congratulations, guys. And we will try and stick to the program as tight as we could. And I want to ask our man behind the scenes to introduce what we call the Combermere Anthem. That hymn that we can never do without, that hymn that's sung at all those scholars get together. He who would valiant be, in other words, to be a pilgrim. And I'll ask that it be played right now so we can reminisce and think about Patrick as we do so. Thank you. That never, ever, ever gets old. And I recall every single time you go to Combermere School and that is played, whether the children had the words or not, those last few words,
To
those
be a
last
pilgrim.
4 words were the ones that they all screamed out. And remember when Charlie Pilgrim was our principal? That was the one that they just waited for. So I don't know as you remember that yourself. Now, as we're going to move right along with the tribute, I'm not too sure who we got in studio. I know we do have Colonel Bostic in the studio. Without further ado, Jeffrey, I'm going to ask that you deliver your tribute, having served in the military with Patrick, having been a student at the Combermere School, and undoubtedly have crossed paths with Patrick on a personal and professional pathways. I know you'll have quite a lot to say. So, Jeffrey, let me turn it over to you and ask that you deliver your heartfelt tribute to Patrick at this time.
When I was part of the junior school at Waterford University, he was in the senior school. When I joined the number 3 cadet company, he was a senior cadet. When I entered the lower 6, he came back to school as a teacher. When he got married to Eartha, I was his best man. Good evening, fellow Combermereans. It is a privilege really to be here and to deliver this tribute to a very, very, very good friend of mine, a great teacher, an officer and a gentleman, and a person who impacted the lives of several of us, and for some of us in very significant ways. What I said at the beginning pretty much gives a synopsis of the type of relationship that existed between Patrick Alden Skeete and myself. As we gather here online, what is Thanksgiving Day for some of us, to pay tribute to this loyal and devoted Combermerean, let's do so in a spirit of celebration, giving thanks to Almighty God for the wonderful life that Patrick lived. And I say this in recognition of the fact that despite the years of ill health which he endured, Patrick adopted a positive attitude right until the very end, not allowing his illness to prevent him from continuing to add value to his family, value to his beloved school through the many projects that he pioneered, value to the cadet corps through the books that he published, and value to his beloved church, the Berean Bible Church. I think I can say that if Dighton Maynard was a father figure to me when I was at school, as indeed he was, then Patrick Skeete had to be my big brother. He was a man whom I respected while he was a schoolboy, when I was a schoolboy and he was a teacher, in the military, and this continued throughout my adult life. Even when I became senior to Patrick in rank in the Defense Force, I still had a lot of respect and admiration for this wonderful man. You see, we had a very close bond from at school. It's a bond which resulted in me having some enjoyable times in Rose Hill at Patrick's home, which for me was a kind of an outing for a city boy heading out to Rose Hill in St. Peter, which we considered as being in the country. But I had some very, very lovely times at his home while I was at school, and some extraordinarily long chats on various issues, chats that would start at school, continue on the Route 21 Bush Hall bus to Bridgetown, continue from the Fairchild Street bus stand to the Lower Green bus stand, and on some occasions resume when we reach home at night. Patrick loved to chat, and I would have to say obviously that I did too, because I continue chatting with him, and I don't think that there's anybody that could have out-talked than Patrick Skeete, and he was really good at it. But you know, there's very much that I can say about Patrick, and I'm not going to go into some of the areas because there are a lot of people to speak, and I don't want to be repetitive. But there's some events that happened between the two of us that I think are worthy of being shared here this afternoon. And I say so because these events for me really epitomize the kind of relationship that existed between teachers and students back in my time, it really speaks volumes of the character of Patrick Skeete and how teachers trusted us as schoolboys and how they interacted with us. And because of those kind of interactions, they developed us into the kind of men, and in some cases women, because women came afterwards, girls came afterwards, the women that there are today. And I think that really and truly, this is the Patrick Skeete that I want to remember. The first event really was an interesting one. I was in lower six, and Patrick decided that he was going to make a trip to the university campus at St. Augustine, Trinidad. He was going to look for his loved one at the time, and also to meet back up with some friends that he left there when he graduated from that campus. And as usual, Patrick wanted me to tag along with him. And he called me and said to me that he wanted me to go to Trinidad, that he was going to buy a ticket for me to go. Well, I grabbed the opportunity, of course. And while in Trinidad, the first time that I would have been visiting Trinidad, Patrick made every effort to ensure that I was able to get into the university at St. Augustine to continue preparing for exams. And he tutored me in Spanish, because that was one of the subjects that I studied. And he really did a lot to assist me. He really showed me a different part of life and a different part of his life. And I was really, really blessed for him to have shared that with me. It was one of the most wonderful experiences that I had at the time. Another one I want to speak to was in relation to the late Keith Ambrose King, better known as KK. Keith King was going on long leave for one term and decided that he would leave the house in Tweedside Road with Patrick. Now, I don't know if Patrick was scared to be on his own in town, but as usual, he wanted me to tag along, and he asked me if I would come and stay with him, which I did. So we spent about 3 months or so that we spent at Tweedside Road. While at Tweedside Road, Patrick would do the cooking, and obviously I did be eating. But on one occasion, Patrick, when I went on study leave, preparing for exams, so we weren't going to school anymore, I really felt guilty of the fact that Patrick was going to work, coming back home to cook food for me to eat, and I'm at home all day. So I decided that I was going to cook, having never cooked in my life. And I remember I called my mother to ask her what to do, and she gave me Cooking 101 on the phone. And I made several sprints between the phone and the stove to receive instructions and to execute based on what she had said to me. When Patrick arrived at home, and Patrick saw that there was a white rice and steamed fish all ready to eat, finished, he looked at me with a broad smile and he said, "Wait, Jeffrey, you got a woman hiding in here?" And he was brimming from ear to ear, from Rose Hill to Tweedside Road. And there were some other things that he taught me, things that helped me really and truly later on in my life. But one night in particular, I was returning from playing a table tennis match in the Division 1 competition. And I saw this gentleman walking up Tweedside Road. To be honest with you, he was swerving from side to side. And when I got closer, he was brimming from east to west. And then I realized it was Patrick Skeete. He stopped, and I walked with him till we got home. And I asked, "Patrick, what's wrong with you?" He told me nothing. He told me he met a man by the name of Bomber Wickham, who used to teach at Combermere in a rum shop in Tweedside Road. And that Bomber encouraged him to come and have warm brandy. In fact, to put it correctly, he said warm brandy with that accent. And he was skinning and he was laughing all the time. And then he told me that he had a few more I said, wait, Patrick, I didn't know that you used to drink. He said, no, this is the first time Patrick got drunk. And that was a very, very big laugh for us. But those kind of events really are things that help to develop me and to mold me into the person that I became. And Patrick was something really very, very special. And so I was delighted, to be honest, when he asked me if I would be his best man at his wedding, which I readily accepted. And from there on, it was just doing a lot of things together. And for a long time, we were able to share those memories and also to create some other memories. But I want to say that the last time I heard Patrick, or rather the last time we engaged in a serious conversation was about 2 weeks before he was hospitalized. And he said something to me during that chat. He said to me, Jeffrey, there's something I want to say to you. Friendship does not require that you see each other often. In fact, you may not see each other for a long time, but it does not affect the friendship. And he went down a particular line, and I can tell you that it touched my heart in a big way. I don't know if he sent something, but the truth is, from COVID and coming forward, I really was not in touch with anybody, including Patrick. And I honestly, knowing that he was at home and everything, I felt so guilty about it, that we hadn't really communicated. And he put me at ease on that evening. I mean, I felt differently after he spoke to me. And the last time I saw him, obviously, he was in the hospital. And we chatted briefly, but I didn't want him to speak too long because obviously he was struggling a bit at the time. But this was a great man. This was a man who contributed significantly to school at Combermere, to the youth of this country, to the cadets. Patrick, 8 cadets, breathe cadets, dreamt cadets. He was innovative in his approach to the cadetting when he became the CEO, taking the cadet corps into some new dimensions, along with Colonel Brown, who was commandant at the time. And the last thing he said to me with regards to the cadets was getting the band back together. And I had promised him that I had a saxophone, which was in quite good condition because I only played it twice, having bought it a few years ago, and that I was going to donate it to the school once they were ready to start back. His death, though not a surprise, given the situation at the time, it really hit me hard. And as I'm sure it did most of us or all of us who knew him well. He will be missed in several ways, but I guarantee you that he's left a legacy that will live on. And I want to join with each and every one of you in extending sincerest condolences to Eartha, to his family, and to all of his loved ones. And I want to thank him. I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart for the invaluable contribution that he made towards the development of Jeffrey Davidson Bostic.
Jeffrey,
please.
Jeffrey,
yes.
Even though we said we wanted tributes to be tight, I don't see any part of that you could have curtailed. Jeffrey, I was absolutely riveted by your testimony. It has touched me very deeply. It has caused me to laugh out loud. How does one go from not drinking to having drink to Bomber Wickham and survive? You know, Jeffrey, there's no part of that. And even without using the term legacy, that's what you were talking about from beginning to end, legacy. And one thing that really touched me deeply, those words that Patrick said to you about friendship, those were the exact words he used to say to me. Friendship does not mean that one needs to see each other every single day. The bonds that we have created in that noble institution called Combermere School means that there are lifetime friendships. Jeffrey, I want to thank you. Hess, I don't know how you can comment on that, or if you have a comment on what Jeffrey said. Alicia, a brief comment, if you would, about Jeffrey's testimony, which I thought was absolutely riveting, because we really got to speed it up and down a little bit now. Hess, what do you think? You muted, Hess? Alicia? I think Hess has dropped off a bit.
Listen, my dogs are barking. I was just trying to move them away from the door.
That's all right, yes.
I fully concur. To me, Mr. Skeete honestly left an indelible mark. I would not have had the experiences that Jeffrey shared or most people shared, but within the last few years, as I said, I got a lot closer to him. And he was just constantly run things by me and flood my inbox. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. That's the nature of the man.
Even when I'm traveling, because of the time difference, he tried to tell me, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll get back to you by 6 o'clock.
And you better get back to him, and you better get back on what Jeffrey spoke about too. Was
definitely
Patrick's long chat. Yes. He had a lot to say, Jeffrey.
Yes.
He had a lot to say, didn't he? I got to really speed things up a bit, but it would be remiss of me, because I did omit this at the beginning, because I spoke to Ursa a lot about this particular tribute, and as we were going through funeral arrangements, Ursa herself cannot be here with us this afternoon, clearly because of her other commitments and trying to get things organized. But she did send a message, which I'd like to read for you guys at this time. And it starts this way. Good evening, fellow Combermereans. She goes on to say, I make no apologies for referring to myself as such, for I truly feel that I am part of this illustrious family. I am unable to join you physically today, as demands on my time and energy leave me quite exhausted. However, I am with you in spirit. Please accept my apologies for this. I would like to express my sincerest and most heartfelt gratitude to all of you for the kind words being spoken about my beloved husband. Patrick was my life for over 2 decades and has made such an impact on me that I cannot imagine life before him, nor can I now imagine continuing life after him. He has undoubtedly impacted your lives as well, to such an extent that you are gathered here this evening. I will always remain extremely proud of Patrick, his work and his achievements. But that pride is even greater as more and more each day I learn of positive effects that he's had on the lives of so many. My thanks and appreciation go out to the hosts of this tribute and the creators of this network. May it work for the benefit of all, and may this particular program today be to the honor and glory of God through the work of his servant Patrick Skeete. Long may the good work of Combermere continue. God bless you all. Love and gratitude, Eartha Skeete. Very touching indeed. Extremely touching indeed. And now I want to go on without much further ado, because I know that in the studio, the same man who did the invocation will have a few words of tribute. Reverend Al, are you with us? Can you deliver your short tribute at this time?
Yes, blessings to each and everyone who have joined us. I guess I'll be short and as required. I know Jeffrey would have more, the Colonel would have more. His memory is so good that he can reflect on things that happened 30, 40 years ago as if they were happening just yesterday. But basically, I remember Patrick as that soft-spoken senior cadet, a teacher, an officer, with that signature laugh or smile that we know Patrick had. He was a gentle spirit who did not seem to get angry, or if he did get angry, it was never for too long. In fact, I remember Patrick as a peacemaker by his words and definitely by his presence. And he had so much of a peaceful and mentoring spirit that Patrick giving commands as a cadet officer or senior cadet officer was like a normal conversation, but yet still he was giving you a command. But remarkably, he got things done and got them done promptly and effectively. Patrick's spirit was one that got your attention. When Patrick was present, he had that presence. He wasn't just there, but you knew that Patrick was there. He was a teacher, as we know. He was a mentor to many of us. And importantly, Patrick, to me, what I remember, was a leader with good character. He was a leader with integrity, an individual with integrity. He was what they call extremely reliable, where if he said he's going to do something, he's going to make sure it is done and with excellence. And above all, I remember Patrick as a respectable person. To me, he was a godsend. And when we speak about purpose and being purpose-driven, I want to say and remember that Patrick embodied this gift, which I believe came from God. And when we speak about mentorship, I believe we can all say upon reflection tonight that Patrick wrote the manual, he taught the principles from the manual, he demonstrated the principles of mentorship by his life, and he walked and operated in his gifting. And many of us today, here on this call, can say without any hesitancy that Patrick Skeete was that big brother on occasions. And more so, although we are all grown today, we can say that Patrick was that father who supported us in our development. And in his latter years, Patrick also then in his life of being exhibiting God's call and being purpose-driven, he left with us the example of a godly man. And like Paul, God called Patrick throughout his life. And in his latter years, although he did not have a Damascus experience, I believe that God called him where he was able to transform the gifts that Patrick exhibited, being purpose-driven in his life as a teacher, an officer, and a gentleman. And he then took these gifts and talents to impact others in his Christian community as what he would call an evangelist. So tonight we celebrate a good man. We celebrate someone who was with us as boys. Someone who, through our adulthood, remained with us and knew how to interact with us as these young men, even as family men. He still knew how to interact with us and be able to impact our lives in that special way that only Patrick could have done. We've lost a good man, but I believe it is for us from tonight to let his legacy of ensuring that Combermere and cadets, and all the other things that we know that was Patrick's heart and passion. I believe that we all tonight can make an effort and make a desire to ensure that his legacy lives on. that's my tribute to Patrick tonight.
Thank you so much, Al. And throughout your delivery, my thoughts went to, what if we did a word search? What if we did a collage of the words that were going to be featured prominently today, and the words I could hear coming out are mentorship, gentleman, legacy, excellence. Hess, I know you were having some audio challenges. Are you back with us? You're muted. Are you muted? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. It's a little scratchy, but yes. I just wanted you to concur. Yeah. That you were back with us.
Definitely. And let's not forget, Patrick was a prolific author.
Oh, wonderful.
This is one of the books
That's
that
right.
he wrote,
That's right.
The Combermere Cadet. And his most recent book, The
Maynard Way. The Maynard Way. But Hess, I have one more for you, Hess.
Patrick.
The most recent book is still to be published because Colonel Maynard is working on just editing that last chapter of the book that he and Patrick wrote on cadetting. So that book will be with us very shortly. Alicia, I see you looking a little surprised, a little astonished. Patrick will be with us for so long. His work
He
will
wore
continue.
many hats.
Many hats. Now, I am not so sure who else we have lined up in the studio. I'm not getting the report, but I see, I know we have Gay Griffith in the studio, but Gay, with your indulgence, let me just read, because I know Colonel Brown wanted to be here, but he had a serious scheduling conflict, and he did send a message, which at this time I will read to you, if with your permission. This comes from Colonel Trevor Brown, who was also one of my own mentors, along with Patrick, and his message reads like this, a Major Patrick Skeete. Although I became aware, I'm having a reverb, somebody's mic, I'm just hearing myself repeated, okay. Although I became aware of the challenges that he faced so bravely in recent times, it was with great sadness and loss that I learned of the passing of my friend, brother, and fellow officer, Major Patrick Skeete. I have known Patrick, of course, from school days, and particularly from our shared experiences in the No. 3 Company of the Barbados Cadet Corps at Combermere School. I would have preceded Patrick by a few years. However, it was in the approximately 22 years between 1992 and 2014, when, under the direction of the now Colonel H.D. Maynard, we were both instructed, quite literally, to make a meaningful contribution to the Cadet Corps that was reflective of the benefits that we had extracted during our time as cadets. Can you hear Dyson Maynard saying that? I want you to contribute the same way that cadets contributed to you. Wow. Major Skeete took on the role of Cadet Executive Officer, essentially becoming the first paid director of the Corps, while I joined the Cadet Officer Corps as a zone commander. In 2004, I was promoted to the post of commander of the Corps, and we worked even closer together until we both departed sometime in 2014. Over those years, I came to know, trust, and respect the gentleman, leader, disciplinarian, diplomat, teacher, husband, father, friend, and advisor that was Patrick Skeete. Major Skeete knew all there was to know about cadets and the Cadet Corps. His ability to research information and to place issues into proper perspective with an excellent balance to my much more direct, just let's do it style. His interactions with officers from other jurisdictions in the region, as well as those from Canada and the UK, was legendary. As a matter of course, Major Skeete made numerous such lifelong friends, particularly everywhere he went. Patrick's dream and vision was for a Barbados Cadet Corps that fulfilled the vision of the original pioneers at the Lodge, Harrison, and Combermere schools back in 1904, to produce students of character, resilience, and fortitude who would be perfectly equipped to take Barbados successfully into the future. Major Skeete's tenure was like a solid foundation for the Cadet Corps, and his legacy has to be seen in the caliber of excellent graduates that have emerged from that period of cadetting, and even more so in the unquestionable quality of the officers who developed and served under his leadership. Traveling together for meetings, camps, and various military exercises, I came to know many other aspects of Patrick Skeete's character. In every way, he has been a true credit to his family, to Combermere School, to Colonel H.D. Maynard, who has been his undisputed mentor for his life, and to the Barbados Cadet Corps and to Barbados. It has been a true honor and privilege for me to have shared a part of Patrick's life, and especially the part that he held so dearly, and that is cadetting. Like Colonel Maynard, he has played a major role in my own personal development, and I will forever be grateful for his friendship, support, and counsel. Having now been called to higher service, I have no doubt that high on his new agenda will be organizing some group whose mission will be to improve the lot of others and in need, especially where children are involved. I am also sure that his first speech will begin with something like, "We all know that children love to play." Rest in peace, Major Skeete. You have finished your course in brilliant style, and your legacy lives on in the many lives that you have molded over the years. And that comes from Lieutenant Colonel Trevor Brown, a mentor to both of us. And he has said in his delivery that Patrick actually helped mentor him. Can you imagine that? Wonderful tribute, Colonel Trevor Brown. This has made me want to be a better person from the time I have heard the tributes pouring in. Hess, I know it's difficult for you, but you need to be a better person too. So, having heard all these tributes, we need to be better people, because when I am gone, I want somebody to just say half of what is being said about Patrick, about me. So, moving right along and moving smartly along, Hess, you can keep that comment to yourself. I know what you're thinking. And Alicia, I leave Hess to you. I know in the studio, we have Gay Griffith. Gay, you have been a very, very close friend and ally to Patrick. And I'm going to invite you now into the studio to deliver your tribute to our friend and brother, Major Patrick Skeete, or better known as Patrick to us. Gay, the floor is yours. You're muted, Gay. Is Gay with us? All right. Let's move on then, because I'm not hearing Gay. Alicia, are you in a position to read Harcourt's tribute? Because Harcourt Mason would have sent in a tribute, and just like Colonel Brown, I think he would have had a scheduling conflict.
Sure.
So
He is with us.
Gay is with us now?
Yes, he's online.
Oh, hi, Gay.
You don't hear me?
Calling on you. Yes, I'm hearing you now. Excellent. Yes, Gay, the floor is yours. You can deliver your tribute to Patrick right now. Have we lost you again? All right. While you're getting your technical gremlins under control, let me ask Alicia if she would read the tribute that was penned by Harcourt Mason, another one of Patrick's proteges.
1 second. Sorry to. It seems Colonel Middle is in the audience. It seems.
Oh, is Colonel Maynard is in? That's
He's
who I was
in,
waiting to actually.
Because I'm on the phone with Alfred. So what we can do is we can.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, but I don't want to actually
his...
stress the Colonel out too much. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Is Alfred with us then?
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we are. Yeah, is this Gay speaking?
If you can hear me, this is Gay. Yes.
Yes, Gay, go ahead. After your tribute, right. I'm going to turn it over to Alfred Taylor, who is with Colonel Maynard, so we can get the Colonel's tribute. So go right ahead, Gay.
Can I go on hold and come after Colonel Maynard? I really think his tribute has much more value. Go ahead with Alfred.
Yes, you can. Wonderful, Gay. Thank you so much. Alfred, are you with us? Colonel Maynard. Are you seeing anything in the studio, Alicia, with that suggests that Colonel?
No, Alfred is on the line with me, but he said that Colonel Maynard is watching, but I'm not seeing him in the audience. Colonel Maynard, are you there? I can hear Colonel Maynard speaking. Can you hear David or Hess?
No.
Colonel Maynard, can you hear us?
Hello, am I back with everyone? My apologies. Is everyone hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you, David.
Okay, good. I beg your pardon. I got knocked off just
Colonel
now.
Maynard is supposed to speak now. It seems like he was saying something. Colonel Maynard, can you hear us? I'm not sure if he can hear us, but I thought I heard him vaguely. And David, I think you have two connections.
Oh yeah, I can get rid of one of them, I believe. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, have we got Colonel Maynard in the studio? I see Hess is back with us.
Alfred went to give him a call.
Okay, all right.
It's possible he can maybe use a speaker and on his phone. If he's on his phone, he can just put the speaker on and then we'll be able to.
Right. Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. All right. Who do we have in the studio ready? You got him? Are you seeing him?
Alfred is not in the studio. He's on the phone, but he said he was going to call Colonel Maynard. Colonel Maynard is actually watching.
Ah, very good.
He's watching, but I'm not sure if he's in the studio. I don't see.
Right. Greetings, Colonel. Greetings from all of us from our heart. So the moment we get Colonel Maynard up and live, just to keep things rolling, Gay, I'm going to ask you to.
I was asking. Yeah, we can go to Gay.
Yes.
Right.
Gay, thank you very much for holding and being so patient. Go right ahead.
So you can hear me again. You can hear me again.
Loud and clear. Yes.
Right. So I am on the road, so you won't get a video, but I want to talk about Patrick from another perspective. I'm going to go back to where we were born. You know, I am also from Rose Hill and St. Peter, and it is from that relationship that Patrick and I would have started becoming, I wouldn't say friends. He was one of a big brother to me as well. His parents, Fred and Marcia, were friends with my parents as well. So there was always that relationship, and his mother would be crossed by my mother would be crossed by his mother, and they got along very well, and we all shared relationships. And it was Patrick on one side and Pedro Corbin on the other side. So, you know, I was in the middle of those two people who were going to Combermere. Yes, I wanted to go to Combermere, and it was a joy when I actually went to Combermere, because then that was in Patrick's last year, senior in his school. I was telling some guys, I remember when they used to have a spelling bee competition among all of the secondary schools, and I remember when he went to Combermere as someone who could spell good, you know, and those times were really good for me. Then Patrick left, you know, and then he went away to study, and I ended up then at Combermere. Patrick came back, and then Geoffrey Harcourt met them in the last part of school, and then they left and they came back, and I was still at school. I probably was at school for probably 9 years, too long. So when Patrick came back, then he was into the teaching service, and we were still able to have good relationships and good communication as a person within the community that I was born and we lived in. But when Patrick got married for the first time, he moved in from probably about 6 or 7 houses away from me to immediately above where I was living. So again, our relationship continued, and we continued talking and sharing. And yes, when Patrick starts a conversation, it would go for a little while. I understand that. So we had long conversations, and it was just across the road, so it wasn't difficult, you know. And Patrick's commitment to Combermere, I mean, I can say this quite clearly, it's much stronger than mine. And I want to speak to David, you know, because we we were able to share a lot, talk a lot. But I saw in Patrick's latter years where he was tired, and I understood he didn't want to fight anymore. Visiting him in the hospital was painful, but I understood he was very clear as to what he wanted. I know that David has a book that he was taking out and taking notes, because David, remember you took notes when Patrick was given a whole set of instructions as to what was supposed to happen on his exit. So Patrick was very clear, even on his deathbed. He was still giving instructions as to who has this, who to contact for this, where this information comes from, you know. And to me, there's so many other things that people could be thinking about at their dying bed, and on their dying bed, Patrick is talking about what needs to continue for Combermere to grow. Patrick would have raised funds for people to get certain levels of education, to get certain levels of improvement. Patrick's desire to make sure that Combermere goes back to a school that gets scholarships and exhibitions. He's able to talk, he himself would have got an exhibition, and he's able to talk about what is required for Combermere to get persons getting exhibitions and scholarships and the things that are required, and he was prepared to put the funding behind such things. Patrick called me about the opportunity when we came back to school. I had a 50th anniversary of persons who entered Combermere in 1973, 74. And we had that event in September. When I reached out to Patrick, Patrick made it clear to me that he's unable to do it because of what was going on in his health, and he wasn't leaving home for long periods. But he said he wished us well. He wished us well for that event. This is the same Patrick then that called me and told me then earlier up in the year, but when I having the thing for the people, don't forget he gonna have something for those who entered the band for 50 years of having the band, and he want to have it at assembly during the Combermere week of activities. And that came true. And Patrick was happy for those kind of things, those kind of celebrations. And when I went to Vitamin Hospital, I tell him, but I have my coin. And he says, good. You know, because those are the kind of things he wanted to have. I think also you have to take into consideration when you're looking at seamless, because having Patrick being mentored like all of us by Colonel Maynard, to be able then to go and come back and have a role to play within the Cadet Corps, it was seamless. And therefore his contribution cannot be underestimated or undervalued. I want to say that our district of Rose Hill continue to miss him, but we also honor him. And I think that he has done a fantastic job. He's an excellent person, a good father, a good husband, and I pray that his soul may rest in peace.
Thank you so much, Kay. You know, again, every person that speaks just brings things flooding back. The instructions that Patrick left, his brain, his incredible brain, continued to work a mile a minute and not rest, instructing not anything other than what has to happen for the sake of the legacy of Combermere School, and just continuing to issue these instructions. And the best analogy I have for that, Alicia Hess, is this: as graceful as a swan, are you not seeing the kind of work that the feet are doing beneath the surface of the water? That is Patrick's feet, working, always working, but all you see on the surface is this graceful person. That is the legacy of Patrick Skeete. And continuing this, I am not sure if Ivan Clark is in the studio. I am not seeing too many people up yet. Yes, I do see Ivan in the studio. Ivan, are you ready to deliver your tribute? I'm going to call on Ivan Clark to continue in the interest of time. Ivan, are you with us? No, I see two entries for Hess. Who else do we have in the studio at this time?
This is the tribute from Derek Haynes. So
yeah, Derek is here. Derek has a tribute coming in.
Yes, he sent
Derek
tribute. Yes.
Okay, would you like to would you like to go give us Harcourt's tribute now, Alicia, at this time?
Sure. But I
Go
was
right
still a
ahead.
little concerned about Major.
Oh,
I mean about
Colonel
Colonel
Maynard.
Maynard.
Colonel Maynard
Let
is
me.
watching, and is actually very, very happy watching. He asked that we excuse him at this time for making a contribution.
Okay.
But he is extremely happy watching, and we just send I want to send personal greetings to my mentor and my friend, my lifelong mentor and friend, and also bring greetings to him from my mother, for whom Colonel Maynard would be my big brother. So, Colonel Maynard, I thank you very much for being in my life and being in the lives of all people. All of us, we owe you a significant debt of gratitude, which we'll never be able to repay, sir. So, I see Derek Haynes
He's on.
he's on. Would you like let's get Derek in now. Derek, are you with us?
And thank you for joining, Colonel Maynard.
Hi, good evening. Good evening.
Hi, Derek. How are you? It's really good to see you and hear you, Derek.
I know you. Hopefully, you're not seeing me because I'm
not seeing you. I'm not seeing you, but I'm hearing you.
I've got a little bit of a wicked cold here. So my apologies
all right,
for that.
Just give us your 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, I kind of forwarded it to Alicia, but what I'll do is I'll just read it to you. It was my interaction with Patrick kind of pretty much came across in 1975 as I joined the school, and along with Colonel Maynard as a mentor, you know, I was introduced to the cadet corps, joined the cadet band in 1975, played the clarinet, and what I like to say about Patrick is basically he was a true gentleman who saw the potential in you and always wanted to nurture it. You know, cadet camps were a major thing with him. I know that he was the supporting act, the founder of most cadet camps that we had going on. And went to St. Lucia with him, my group of guys. He was quietly assertive and led by example. I remember, you know, just two major things: him presenting the Martinez Cup shooting trophy to me back in the day at number 3 Quarry Combermere, and that was a major achievement. I think we beat Lodge, and Lodge had a lot of men that were looking like if they were shooting against us. You know, we were just little fellas, but we won, and that had to be around about 1977 or so, and then as I joined the Barbados Defence Force, you know, as I was leaving school, he encouraged me to join the Defence Force.
Have we lost Derek? Are you hearing him, Alicia? Oh, here we go again. Go ahead, Derek.
Right.
Lost you briefly.
You didn't hear any of that, did you?
Well, we heard from the Defence Force. We lost that Defence Force.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't super keen on joining the Defence Force, but Patrick, you know, recommended it certainly as a bit of a character building thing. He knew there was something in me that would have benefited from the experience of joining the Defence Force, and I wanted to fly. You know, I was passionate about the flying career going forward, and so he recommended that I join, and you know, much to my I was quite persistent. I didn't really want to join. Colonel Maynard would remember this. You know, I was throughout my time in the Defence Force, all I ever wanted to do was fly, and so Patrick knew that was going to be the situation before I even joined, and knew that was going to be a challenge, but probably figured that it would be character building for me to work my way through those challenges. And that single decision for me to join the Defence Force then resulted in my subsequent attending of 3 CFFTS Portage la Prairie, again with the assistance of Colonel Maynard, who was Deputy Chief of Staff at the time, and I was fortunate. I was successful on that course. I'm not trying to big up myself, but you know, there were only 3 of us that went on that course. You know, one of us was from Combermere, 2 of us passed. Yeah. 2 of us passed that course. I don't think anybody's ever been back to Canada on that course representing Barbados. So, I mean, it was just a unique opportunity that came around once in a lifetime. And fortunately, because of Patrick, I ended up, as I said, I think, joining the Defence Force, and then subsequently left the Defence Force and became a professional pilot, flew with Liat and several other airlines, you know, with the ups and downs that go with the airline industry. And finally, I'd say, having a successful career, finishing up as a captain on the 787 at world-renowned airline, also known as Virgin Atlantic Airways, which, you know, I retired from in September of this year. You know, he was a stalwart, and, you know, all I can say is thanks very much for your impact on my life, and rest in peace, Sir Patrick Major Skeete, retired. Rest in peace. Up and on.
Thank you so much, Derek. Derek, we all know your stellar career,
Thank you very much.
touching the stars, and to understand and to see the connection, that strong connection between Colonel Maynard and Patrick Skeete in your, and the impact that they had in your life. This is such a wonderful tribute. Thank you so much. And I recognize that there are some people having some serious technical difficulties. I know Ivan is having difficulty with his mic. I also got a call just now from Jeremy Culmore. He's traveling in the US and trying his best to get on with a lot of difficulty, but I want to acknowledge that he is present and listening to us, but he's been trying to get on without success. And I know time is short, and we're trying to get as many things in as possible. I really need you, Alicia, now to read Harcourt's tribute. At least we'll get that in before we are completely run out of time. So, Alicia, I'm going to turn it over to you. You just get let's get Harcourt Wason's tribute to Patrick at this time.
Sure. Thank you. Good evening, all. This tribute is from Harcourt Wason, and it goes like this. I had the honor of meeting Patrick on entering Combermere on September 6, 1966. One immediately recognized there was something special about him, even at the age of 10 or 11. His academic excellence was easily displayed. He was always at the top of the class at the end of the term. He was a model student and eventually went through the ranks as sub-prefect, prefect, house captain, and eventually school captain. He joined the cadet corps early and stood out among the many other outstanding cadets that made the No. 3 Cadet Company the envy of the other two companies. Patrick rose to the rank of cadet senior under officer and left no doubt in anyone's mind about his military capabilities. Patrick joined the staff of our beloved school a year before I did. He, the officer in charge for No. 3 Company, and I, the physical education teacher. Our responsibilities were obviously different, but we worked in tandem for the greater success of the school. We often had to maneuver around clashes involving students who were both cadets and school representatives, but we always made it work. Patrick was meticulous, extremely organized and focused. He never appeared flustered, and his soft-spoken manner demanded that you listen when he spoke. He always found time to engage students and participated in healthy discussions in the staff room among persons like Mr. Charles Pilgrim, Keith King, Mr. Keith Roach, also known as Spoonie, and others. During our time as the youngsters on staff, and with a collection of vibrant teachers, outings or events were inevitable, and Patrick would willingly give his input and, of course, would be present. Patrick loved and lived Combermere. In recent times, he was the driving force behind the academic committee, whose aim is to have students maintain the highest level of education and for all students to attain their highest potential. And of course, needless to say, to also know about the history and legacy of Waterford University. His contributions to the school cannot be measured whether as a student, member of staff, or old scholar. Major Skeete, you have done your part and set an exemplary example that all Combermereans are proud of. My condolences to Patrick's family, and may he rest in peace, up and on. Thank you.
Up and on, Harcourt, up and on, Combermere. Lived and breathed Combermere.
Yes, he did.
That is what I keep hearing. Lived and breathed Combermere. Like all of us, but you know.
And being meticulous. Everybody,
meticulous
yes, that was
to
Patrick.
a fault.
Yes.
Meticulous to a fault.
I think he bled blue and gold too, David.
Yes.
I think he bled blue and gold.
There's no doubt in my mind about that. No doubt in my mind. Well,
It's
we
very
have
difficult to
let
speak of him in the past tense.
no. That's exactly right. I don't
Yes.
think we
You know,
should. I don't
when I
think we
first
should.
came to Combermere, Patrick was, what's that?
Go ahead.
I was saying when I first came to Combermere, Patrick was the head boy.
Oh.
He was the head boy at Combermere. He was
Right.
our cadet officer. I mean, he was in always high standing. He was probably the smartest student at school. Right? Everybody looked up to him with pride.
Yeah. The thing about it too is that Patrick
And he was a
wore,
prolific author.
yeah, he wore his attributes so humbly. He never flaunted them. You look at Patrick, and all that he exuded was humility. This is a tenet that he has lived his life by, and one which I try to emulate. And if you knew of our relationship, I mean, dating back to when we became really close friends from 67, sorry, you could understand that I just wanted to follow him. I just wanted to be like him. And he endeared himself to my parents, who actually admonished me to follow that man, follow that young man, you know. And it's having a school. It was the first time I actually experienced schoolboy mentorship, you know, peer mentorship, right? This young man, just 2 months older than I am, but as a mentor, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow.
So let's not start talking age, because I can actually put Alicia in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So let's not start talking age anymore. but I think that under the circumstances, I don't know if you guys are seeing anyone else in the studio to come in. I know Jeremy has been having a lot of difficulty trying to get on, but he has been listening. And we are very pleased to know that Colonel Maynard is listening. Is Ivan on? Ivan was having some difficulty, I think, with his mic. I don't know if we can hear him. But this seems to be the evening where even Hess, you are having some technical issues yourself. Before we actually started, my computer just went down, and I said, oh my goodness, not now, but it has come back up. But we have actually done quite well, actually. I see on the list that we are just missing about 2 tributes. There was Peter Harris and Steve Nurse I have here, but we got and Colonel Grannum. I don't know if anybody has seen or know if Colonel Grannum is on.
I can reach out to him just in case.
Well, yeah, but we just want to be sure and make sure we don't run out of time too much. But we have done remarkably well in the circumstances. This has been our first attempt at this, and I got to really congratulate you guys at the Combermere Alumni Network and the hosts of this program for a remarkable job. And Hess, I see you putting your medal up. That's right. That's the 50th anniversary.
No, this is the last medal that Patrick was.
Oh, I see.
Patrick was paramount in getting these medals for the band and for the first female cadets.
That's right, the 50th anniversary
So this is
of
the
the
medal that Patrick was able to get for us.
of the cadet band. That's correct. That's right. I remember distributing those on Wednesday during Combermere week. Yeah, and I think that's something significant.
And also celebrating the
first females. That's correct. Who that brought females into the military in Barbados, and I think that not enough is said about that, and we need to be much more forceful at that. And that was a major plank in the Combermere legacy. Is anyone else in the studio that one can?
Mr. Mason just logged on, but he got to hear the end of his tribute. So thank you again, Mr. Mason.
Thank you very much,
contribution.
Harcourt. Thank you for that excellent contribution. And I do remember Harcourt entering school along with me, a huge barrel-chested young man that proved to be a superb athlete. Harcourt would remember that as well. 1966, yes. Oh dear, maybe start talking age again. All right. Well, I don't know at this time, Hess and Alicia, is there anything you need to do? I know, Hess, you would need to actually give an update on what's going to be happening coming into the next few days. Hess, would you like to do that right now, please?
Yes. Well, we here at the we here at the Combermere Alumni Network on this new platform. We ask you to share this new platform with other Combermereans. It's Combermere Alumni Network.com, and you can join, and there's a whole plethora of stuff going on the platform. You can advertise your business. You can for the classifieds. We're going to have tributes. We have an upcoming tribute planned for another cadet, Keith Squires. We're also planning an upcoming interview with Ricky Elcock, featuring his days at Combermere, his cricket career for school in England, his career as a pilot at Virgin, and to promote his new book. So there are going to be ongoing interviews that we're going to be doing.
Very good. Derek
so
has just posted.
Please join the network and
yeah.
help grow this, and tell us what you like about it.
Lovely, lovely. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yes, there's a wonderful.
By the way, yeah. By the way, the funeral. Go ahead. Sorry, David.
No,
I was going to say
the
funeral for Major Patrick Skeete takes place on the 2nd of December. Yeah, the funeral for Patrick is on the 2nd of December at 2 p.m. at the Berean Bible Church, Hospital Turning, St. Michael. So the 2nd of December, we'll put our brother to rest.
Thank you. There's a very interesting message coming through from Derek in the chat. Let me just read it for you. He says that he had asked me to be the CSM for an evening with the Colonel, a daunting task with such stalwarts in the squad as Stephen Cumberbatch, Caswell Franklin, and Major Jeffrey Ford, gave Griffith and Marlon Best. I couldn't remember the orders, a quick refresher, and I was good to go. It was a good show, and he instilled confidence from 35 plus years ago at that time. My last interaction was regarding the acquisition of instruments for the cadet band, a fitting legacy. Well, Derek Haynes, a great man, he said, rest in peace, Sir Major Patrick Skeete. Wow. Thank you, Derek. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I want to thank, if there's no one else that you can see in the studio at this time, I wish to, what do you got, Alicia? You got somebody else
I was
in the
checking
studio?
to see if Steve was on and Peter is on, but it doesn't seem like they're on as yet. So I can try to mute my call and just reach out to them.
Yeah, right. Why don't we do that? In the meantime, we could continue just sharing briefly. If you could just get back to us as quickly as possible, because I am very conscious about
and in
our
the interim, is Ivan still available?
No, he is actually opted to watch and actually enjoy, rather than make a contribution, a verbal contribution at this time. I think Colonel Maynard's contribution is very, very well known, and I think his association with Patrick is equally well known. I see a message from Amelia Grosvenor, King Grosvenor. Thank you for organizing the tribute to Patrick, a true officer, friend, and gentleman. Thank you, Amelia, for that contribution. Yes, Hess, the bond and credit to Colonel Maynard, and I'm going to refer to him as Colonel Maynard now, because I think that you and I, Hess, have graduated to calling him Dighton, but of course we're among youngsters, so we have to actually let them know that respect is still due to the Colonel, to the great Colonel. So I recognize that the Colonel's contribution in Patrick's life and vice versa. Colonel Dighton Maynard recognized the potential in Patrick from very, very early. So there was no surprise when this cream just floated to the surface. Even though we were the same age, we joined the cadets at the same time, it was never a surprise to me that Patrick was promoted so quickly, and he never, ever, ever once let the side down. He never once was Colonel Maynard's trust in Patrick ever compromised or ever let down. It must be wonderful. I think the Colonel will be nodding in approval when you can have people like that you can actually rely on. And Patrick was one reliable human being. And this is something that he used to say to me always, reliability. And one of the things he told me, and I keep it apart, but it has put so much pressure on me to be the kind of man that he wants me to be. He said, David, I know if I call you, I can rely on you. Do you know how much pressure that puts on an individual like me when Patrick calls you and says, I know I can rely on you? Hess, you know you cannot fail. You cannot fail. And the kind of pressure. And my wife used to say, David, why are you putting yourself under this pressure? I said, you don't know Patrick. You don't know Patrick. He asked me to do this. I got to do it. please back away and give me room. So, so I know the kind of individual, and he's the kind of person that you never wanted to let down. Who do we have in the, we see Jeremy. Jeremy, can you hear us?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, wonderful. It's so good to have you, sir. A Rose Hill boy in the flesh.
Yes, can I speak now?
Yes, you can, sir. The floor is yours. Go right ahead, Jeremy. It's so wonderful to have you, man. Where are you now?
Yes.
Welcome,
Thank
Jeremy.
you very much. No, I'm here at the border.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Pennsylvania thing. Yes. Well, I would have felt very badly if I didn't have an opportunity to contribute to this special occasion for my colleague and friend Patrick. You know, we went together in Combermere from Lower 1B, and we took the bus from St. Peter to town, often walking from Eagle Hall or even town to school. By that time, learn a lot of the tricks of the city. But I want to focus on 2 or 3 specific things that I think would be unique in my experience with Patrick. You've already spoken to his unique performance academically. Everybody knows that. But you probably didn't know how we got into the collects and how Patrick got so advanced in the system. We joined very early in our initial years. And that summer, we were told that there was a camp. Unknowingly, we both turned up at the advanced camp. And the cadet officer wanted to chase us back. But then, of course, the goodly colonel said, "What's wrong with those lads?" And someone said, "Sir, they're supposed to be at BT training, not advanced." Yeah. So the colonel says, "Well, they're already here. That means they're interested. Let them stay."
Wow.
So that is how Patrick got very advanced.
So that's why I had to go to BT, and you got the APC before me, Jeremy.
Yes, we went through that. We went through short. Well,
oh, Jeremy,
I
can't. No, Jeremy, no. I will never.
I
I can't
just
forgive you. I can't.
Yeah, that was the experience because we heard about the camp and we went to the camp. The instructions were not clear, but we took. I just said we took advantage of them. We were very intent about going. So that was the experience, and so we really built a strong camaraderie both from the school and that cadet experience. But I want to talk very quickly about Patrick, the lover man.
Hey.
You know, I knew Patrick for all my life until about 20 years ago. He invited me to a moonlight picnic, having not seen him for a few years. Yeah. And he said to me then what he said to someone there. Well, Jeremy, you know, we are still friends, and I have not seen you. And he told me why. But he invited me to this picnic. When I arrived, he welcomed me, offered me a drink. And he took this girl and went and laid on the beach and hugged. I said, "Patrick Skeete? Man, who is this woman?" It was Eartha. I said, "You have transformed this Patrick that I have known for all of these years. Hugging up and making love on the beach." Well, he's not really making love, cuddling and kissing, you know? That's a Patrick Skeete that I am telling you, you would never expected. Right? And that was really a transformation to the other side of Patrick, that man who was not just an academic and a cadet, but he was a man with a wife and a passion, you know, for living.
Jeremy, hold on a second. I have a vision of Patrick in this studio right now, hearing that story from you. I'm laughing.
Yes.
I could see it right now, Jeremy. I can see Patrick sitting there. I'm not being able to get a word out. I can see it in my mind right now.
we talk about it now. We spoke about it several times. Very transformational for my own image of Patrick, because I've always knew to be a really kind of 2 years very focused non-public man in that respect. Right? But there are other things that we talk about, especially in the latter days, which drive a lot of his focus. And 2 experiences that we had. One is that he received a grant that allowed him to go to Martinique to really study and practice language. Because I do know he was very strong in languages, but as very poor people, our parents were not able to afford the resources. So he bought a tape recorder and was able to record and practice the language and so on. And that experience in Martinique he told me was transformational for him. And so, like myself, uh, uh, the Bumpy Moore, if I may call him that, walked up to me sometime and said, uh, so Jeremy, how you doing? I said, fine. He said, well, I can see you need some help. And I was astounded because I really needed the help, but I didn't know that it was so obvious. But what we concluded from that about the humanity of the Combermere place, you know, that people connected to you spatially and psychologically, even though you were not aware. And so that was one of the things behind the idea of fueling opportunities for these people to improve their lessons and so on, and to perform better. So he was really committed to sharing back, which we do, and I certainly support him very strongly in that area. But of course, you also know him as an organizer and a musician. I don't know how many know Patrick, the musician, a guitar player, etc. Yes, he had that talent. I used to go by his house very often, you know, spend time with him there, etc. And we spoke about that. So what I committed to him is that I will certainly work with the team that is left to champion that continued support for the needy in Combermere. And I hope that whoever is charging that probably takes on. He is very strong about that commitment to serving the underneath and to help build that foundation for the privileged, the underprivileged to continue. But of course, you spoke to him. You spoke about his authorship, and I was happy to give the public the launch of his first book. And David, you were talking about the last book that is in production.
Right.
He spoke to me about that, and unfortunately, he has not been able to finish it. But I did know that I think somebody's reviewing it, and he has
Colonel Maynard is doing the last
Yes.
chapter of it. He's reviewing the
Yes.
last chapter of it, and that will be published sooner rather than later. Jeremy,
Yes.
thanks for asking. Yes, that's definitely.
So that was
on
one of the
right
last
track.
things
Yes.
that he assured me,
Yes.
that the book will come out,
Yes.
and the positive spirit of Patrick. So I want to finish by saying that Patrick is somebody who I encountered in that initial Combermere experience, and we have shared that experience from a distance. Even though we have not always been in the same place, we've always exchanged a passion. And so for the cadetting community, he was very committed, as you know. For the language sharing, he's very committed. And I want certainly us to use this tribute and this occasion to rally behind Combermere in all the endeavors that give it the truly irreplaceable ranking, not in relation to certificates, but the social connection and consciousness in Barbadian society. To my friend Patrick, I know you're smiling quietly, as you know often do, when people say good things about you. You will continue to smile in your eternity, Patrick, because we will always have the good things to say about you, because you gave us the cause and the memory to do so. May you rest in peace, my brother. May you rest in
Up
peace.
and on, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So wonderful, Jeremy. Listen, and I know, Jeremy, of your incredible and sincere commitment to moving this forward, the academic group forward. I know you're in commitment, and I have an 11 by 8.5 by 11 sheet of instructions delivered to me from Patrick over the last few days of his life. So I have instructions on how we need to proceed on that, Jeremy. So you'll be one of the first calls I will make. Thank you very much for that. And Jeremy, just to add a little aside from your contribution of what Patrick made the lover man, Patrick did assist me in my fledgling love career as a young man. Okay, just a second, let me finish. As a young man, and recognizing Patrick's prowess in the French language, the language of love, that French language of love, I had a young woman who I was very much in love with from Martinique. And she visited Barbados, and I struggled to connect verbally. Of course, I we did connect. However, but on her departure, I had difficulty in communicating. So this gentleman called Patrick Skeete used to take my letters, take them home, and even in the midst of his homework, come back to me with a French letter, right, written for me. I went clear. I was just the bomb. No one but Patrick and myself knew until my father found out one day. What's this? I said, well, he said, wait, David, this is excellent. But this is not your writing. Because you know, Patrick had the most incredible handwriting. I said, oh, no, Pat. He said, Patrick, you're getting Patrick's teacher. And he put a stop to that. So he made me pick up a French book. I tried to learn. So needless to say, I lost up because I can't match what Patrick was going to do. And this time, whatever transition I made from English to French didn't really do the trick. So I have to commend Patrick for helping me, really assisting me in my fledgling love career. I think it was about 14 or 15 or something like that. So once again, Jeremy, thanks for reminding me of that.
So David,
yeah,
you've confirmed that he was an honorable man. He did not manipulate your intentions.
Never did, and never revealed.
Things could have gone horribly wrong.
It could have gone horribly wrong, but he never did. Did. And Jeremy, you and I
have a true friend.
Jeremy, you and I have to talk about that APC badge you get. Cause I never knew about that. Thank you so much, Jeremy. This has been such a wonderful experience.
Okay.
Alicia, are you seeing anyone else in the studio? Because we're gonna have to wrap things up now.
Colonel Grannum messaged me to say unfortunately he's unable to attend at this time. And he didn't he just wanted me to share that for Major Skeete, we have lost a champion, a servant and leader, a gentleman who gave selflessly, and by his light of the truest flame, took all whom he met to the plains of high endeavor.
Wonderful, excellent, Glynne, and we will be having words with Glynne. So thank you very much. This has been absolutely wonderful experience.
To join us today.
That's fine. All right, he's forgiven, as all Combermereans would. Thank you very much, everyone. I think that this Hess, if there are no more in the studio, that we can conclude this very wonderful experience. I think that there has been an incredible success, the first of its kind. Whatever gremlins tried to attack us, we overcame. I want to thank Charlie in the background, who's been doing a fantastic job. You know, I know he just again like the proverbial swan and swimming relentlessly with his legs moving beneath the water. He has done a remarkable job, and I want to thank all who have contributed to this extremely successful program and this extremely successful and touching tribute. I will be sure to pass on, if you don't mind, Jeremy, pass on to Eartha the kind of impact she had on Patrick and the transformation that she would have made to our friend. Positive. She will be most delighted to hear that. So we will be speaking to them later on this evening. Hess and Alicia, thanks so much for being for holding me up in this endeavor. And thanks again to Charlie for putting this together. And long may the Combermere Alumni Network serve our institution positively. Up and on, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And before you go, David, I've seen here that Jay Deere in the chat has asked if you could please publish the link to the funeral if it's going to be broadcasted. So far, we don't have that information yet.
Yes, it would be. Yes, it would be.
Yeah, we'll put it on there.
Jay, if you can please put your contact details, email or telephone number in the chat, and we'll get that information to you.
Absolutely, of course. Thanks, everyone. Thanks again. Up and on, Combermereans and friends of Combermere. Up and on.
Everyone.
Up and on.
Thank you.
Thank you.